computers or desktop or laptops. You can write down all the questions, whatever comes to your mind. We will be discussing everything at the end of the presentation. We will have a detailed deliberation. Any doubts, not maybe specific to this session, but related to solar energy, if you have, you can feel free to ask. Also, in between, I will be giving some small exercises for you so that to make it more interesting and interactive. So, myself, I have been in the solar sector for the last 10 years, majorly in the research front. Also, I have worked in industry for around 2-3 years. Currently, I'm working with the National Institute of Solar Energy as Assistant Director Technical, and my major area is specifically to solar radiation and consultancy activities which are in the institute. And also I'm a trainer with the institute as well as Skill Council for Green Jobs, training many participants in this sector of solar energy. Next 1 hour, probably we will be discussing these are the learning objectives to understand the potential of sunlight in India, to learn more about its measurement and instrumentation, little bit on solar geometry, PV cell and types, what are specifically about PV cell and types. So looking at, if you look at your energy requirements, every day, daily, you have some energy requirements. Let it be in the form of electricity or maybe thermal energy requirements, probably when you burn something, or in the kitchen when we burn the fuel, or when we use vehicle. So every activities of us is related or directly connected to some energy. When we can consolidate these energies in the form of kilowatt hour or kilojoules. But if I consolidate it in a complete spectrum of applications, we can see in the year 2019-20, this particular figure, what you see on the down, is the total consumption of energy which is required by us in the year 2019-20. Okay, that particular year. That is somewhere near to 12 point, almost like near to 13 lakhs gigawatt hour of energy. When I convert all this energy in the form of kilowatt hour. And of course, industry is the most energy demanding sector, followed by the domestic sector and the agriculture sector. Just for a understanding sake, like, can anyone guess, like, this is something in 2019-20? Look back 10 years before, say 2010, 2009. What could have been our energy consumption at that in that 10 years before? Can anybody guess and put a number in the chat box? Let's look at some numbers, if you can share, or just guess it. Like, I'm sure that it may be right or may not be right, but any guess, anybody? What was our energy consumption 10 years back? कभी सोचा है, like, हमारा energy कितना, how fast our energy consumption demand is growing? So I just want to give that feeling first. So if you look at the energy scenario, 10 years back, we had a requirement, or we had consumed around 6 lakhs 6.94, that is almost like 7 lakhs gigawatt hour of energy. This is something like almost like half, almost like, to be more this thing. So when I look at 10 years ahead from us, so this is going to be, of course, double whatever the 12.91 we told, or this, so it is going to double. So energy requirements as actually is getting the requirement is doubling up, almost like in a more of exponential scale it is increasing. And nowadays, one thing what you can see is that our requirements are also more focused into the kilowatt hour energy requirement, which I will come in the next slide. I will take an example to share that. So earlier days, you look at our applications. we have, for example, let me take a lighting example, lighting application. The lighting application, the energy which is used for lighting is actually in the form of a fuel. Either it is in the form of a wax, or like it is in the form of some kerosene or some kind of fuel. Later it is evolved in the form of electricity. So if you look at the the time, the history, it is in the form of fuel to electricity. Nowadays, what you can see is that most of the energy requirements can be converged to in the form of a kilowatt hour of energy. And another interesting thing which you can see in the historical energy usage is that whatever be the energy what we have been using in the past, the source of this energy or fuel has been a remote or centralized. Say, for example, the electricity which is coming or the fuel which is used for the kerosene which is used is coming from a different source which is located a far away place. और इलेक्ट्रिसिटी भी ऐसा है कि हम हमें ग्रिड से इलेक्ट्रिसिटी मिल रहे हैं, बट दिस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेटेड मे बी फार अवे प्लेस. It is going through a lot of transmission and distribution, and it is reaching to the end user. But lately you can see that not but a new thing, but lately you are seeing this in common way, that the electricity is being generated in the demand side itself. That means the consumer who is consuming the electricity is actually producing the same electricity in the same location, and this we call it as a most like a decentralized energy generation, or which is or supply is close to the demand. So one of the reason why this decentralization of energy generation happened is because of the evolution of, I should say, like more of a acceptance or like financial viability of these technologies which are related to solar. Because of course solar is available everywhere. It has been available like for a long time, for many years, but we were not having much of a viability mode of transformation in the usage of solar energy. But lately you can see it has also become more viable, and people have started using that. So this is something like a shift which is happening from a centralized form to a decentralized form of usage. Now, the basic question always people ask, like, why solar? There are many answers to that. In fact, this is one of the sure short questions in your 10th class question paper with a lot of points you have. But let me give you one very different perspective of that. When we switch on a light and when we consume 1 unit of energy, you know that this 1 unit can either come from a thermal power plant, which is run by a coal, which is like using coal from a coal mines. Now, to enjoy this 1 unit of energy, the thermal power plant should be generating approximately 1.7 units because of various losses incurred in that. So because this is a kind of a centralized form of, as I told, the source of energy generation is far away. But we can always have a second option where we are installing a technology on the roof of the same space where we are consuming the energy. So you can see that maximum we need to have a generation of 1.05 units, and of course the other ill effects of like carbon emissions are also to large extent mitigated because of this kind of technology usage. So that is also one of the reason why most of the people are switching out to solar. Always always to note that technology is evolving every day. So eventually there are challenges with everything, which everything there is the challenge. Even with solar also there is a challenge, on solar also a challenge. But of course with with the evolution of new and new technology, the the problems are being, or the challenges are being overcome with solving those issues. Now, to put a note on the electricity generation and CO2 emission, to generate a 1 unit of or kilowatt hour of electricity from different sources of energy, you can source of fuel, you can see that this is the amount of CO2 emissions, carbon emissions from different sources. Many people may ask, like, okay, solar is much more environmental friendly, it should be zero kilogram. But manufacturing this PV technology and transporting this technology to a different place. So there are still energy, these are still energy intensive activities. So there is a small little again CO2 associated in the total entire life cycle of a solar PV power plant. But this CO2 emission is eventually mitigated over a period of its own operation, like 2 to 3 years. If it is in the field, it is mitigated. I mean, it is balanced. Now I just started with the transition of energy from centralized to decentralized. Told you about the importance of solar energy. Now, what is happening in solar energy in India in the late 5 6 years or last 10 years? Let's look at first the energy in India statistics. In India, as on September, like it's like 2 3 months before, the total installed capacity, installed power in India is around 388 gigawatt, out of which 103 gigawatt is contributed by renewable energy. So I think now this is, in fact, I should say the second in the list or in the contribution. Earlier, when I started my career in solar, probably this was in the fourth or fifth position, which was like almost 5 to 6% of the total entire power we were contributing in the total installed capacity. But this is a very good scale. If you look closely to the renewable energy alone, you can see that out of the total renewable energy, uh, solar is around 47 gigawatt, hydro is 4.8 gigawatt, bio is 10.57, wind energy is 39, almost 40 gigawatt. So to put it short, uh, the total renewable is contributing around 26% of the total power requirement in the country. Uh, make it more easy way to understand, out of every 4 units of energy we consume, 1 unit is actually coming from renewable energy contributions. So that is, in fact, a very good number. That shows how fast we are growing in this particular front. In fact, this happened because of one pact, which is like India has announced a target of 1 lakh megawatt by 2022. Recently, of course, this is being revised also to further extend. But uh, the commitment of India to the world is that uh, by 2030, our total energy uh, augmentation from renewable energy or non-fossil based fuels will be 40%. So that is the commitment what we have given to the world. So in fact, we are pretty in a right track, and this 1 lakh megawatt is something which we will be achieving probably very sooner. Because I will show you how much of that happened till now. You can see that out of the 100 gigawatt of solar, almost like 50 gigawatt is being, almost 47 gigawatt is being installed. I think by this time 50 is almost installed, and another 20 gigawatt is in pipeline. So this is happening very faster. Ground mount plants and solar rooftop plants. Now, one thing which I want to specifically highlight here is that for those who really want to work ahead in this particular area or sector, this why we bifurcate into PV rooftop and ground mount. Many people ask that. Even I had the same question when I saw this in the beginning. So there are two, as I mentioned earlier, there are two categories of usage. The first is like a prosumer category. As I told, the consumer who want to consume the energy, when he produces that energy in his own premises, okay, we call them as prosumer, who is producing whatever they consume, okay. Otherwise, they are just consumers, okay. So prosumers are those categories which consumes their own, produces their own energy, but they consumes in the same premises. So premises generally will be having like a rooftop space, which is more of a feasible area which is to install. So that is why most of the solar rooftop are more of a prosumer category business in India. When you look at the PV ground mount is not necessarily a prosumer category. PV ground mount is mostly a business category, or like a gross category. When I say gross category, it means that somebody want to do a business, want to invest some money, they invest some say X amount of rupees in the power plant. They generate electricity and they sell it to a particular buyer. So it is only a they are only a producer of the electricity. They are not prosumer. Okay, that is a difference. They are only just a producer and they sell it. They are just doing a business out of it. So that is a fundamental difference. So that is also why you can see how why this particular sector is actually moving very fast compared to the rooftop. But again, rooftop is also picking up for a lot of various reasons.